Swadee krap and welcome to Thailand News Today, Thursday, one more day of the week to go. Firstly, just a big shout out to For Spice, one of our Thaiger legends. Thank you very much for supporting the Thaiger. Also, just a quick note to everybody that you've probably already noticed there are quite a few changes afoot, especially on our website at the moment, where we're adding some new products, some new sections. That is a bit of an ongoing project at the moment. Not all of it is live, not all of it is working, so please be patient as we try and get all this working. It's not as if we can do it all in the background and then upload it. Some of it actually has to be done in this live situation. We're also adding an app. It's actually not uploaded onto the Android store at the moment, so the people who have been going to the Android Google Play Store will find that our old app is there from 3 years ago, and we're trying to remove that, blah 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 blah. So please be patient. Let's get started with today's news. Looking to the gradual reopening of the country, the government are pinning their hopes on luring higher-end tourists and travellers. The Thai government is looking to rich, high-spending foreigners as the borders are prized open in coming months. The government plans to draw in at least 1 million high-spending tourists, rich retirees who want to settle in Thailand, and potential investors interested in the Thai-based S-curve industries. Officials are now looking into changing up the rules regarding property to make it easier for foreigners to buy homes in Thailand to help draw in more retirees. Now, that would be a game changer. To lure in investors to set up offices in Thailand, corporate income tax will be reduced, while improvements will be made to the immigration process and applications for visas and work permits for industry experts. Let's see if it happens. 26 new COVID-19 cases were reported today by the CCSA, 21 infections in the Greater Bangkok area and 5 imported cases, raising Thailand's total to 28,889. 13 new local infections were discovered at hospitals and 8 others in the wider community. Samut Sakhon province reported 11 new infections, all Burmese nationals. April Fool's jokes, pranks and hoaxes were not allowed to be shared on social media in Thailand today. No, it's not a joke. April Fool's jokes posted on social media could have landed you in a Thai jail or slapped you with a hefty fine for violating the country's Computer Crime Act. Some April Fool's jokes posted online are considered fake news that misled the public, and sharing fake news breaks Thai law, according to the Technology Crime Suppression Division. On April the 1st every year in many countries around the world is April Fool's Day, with people making jokes and hoaxes. But in Thailand, posting fraudulent messages or sharing fake news that may mislead the general public are guilty of the Computer Crime Act. Recently, police have been cracking down on misleading posts related to the COVID-19 pandemic and the political protests in Thailand, especially posts that incite public agitation. We can't possibly have any of that. The governor of the northern province of Mae Hong Son says around 2,000 Karen refugees are sheltering in the province as the bloody conflict in Myanmar continues. Local officials have provided shelter and other necessities to refugees that have flooded across Thailand's northwest borders. Violence in Myanmar has escalated since the military coup of February the 1st, which ousted the democratically elected civilian government led by Aung San Suu Kyi. Thousands of ethnic villagers were forced to flee into Thailand when the junta launched airstrikes on Karen state last weekend. The strikes came during the bloodiest week since the Burmese army began its crackdown against pro-democracy protesters. Refugees have been arriving in the kingdom now for several weeks. The governor reports that Thai officials have not only provided shelter and other necessities to the refugees, but also is negotiating with those who can return to Myanmar to leave voluntarily. He says the Thai government will issue guidelines for how to care for the refugees who are unable to return home at this time. Just yesterday, the Burmese generals called for a ceasefire in some areas of the country for the month of April but still say they will continue their crackdown on dissenters. The hotels and airlines in Thailand are pinning their hopes on Songkran to revive a domestic tourism sector that's been dormant since the resurgence of COVID-19 late last year. Sintara Hotels and Resorts, for example, are reporting an uptick in advanced bookings for the holiday period. The Songkran holiday officially starts on Tuesday, April the 13th for 3 days, but you can be sure that most Thais will take the Monday and Friday off, making an almost 9-day holiday if you include the weekends. Locations like Bangkok, Pattaya and Hua Hin are reporting heavy bookings between April 11 and 14, despite there being no tourism subsidy scheme at this time. Meanwhile, Bangkok Airways says this year's longer Songkran holiday should encourage more domestic tourism. The carrier is currently only flying 30% of domestic capacity. The airline is adding on extra flights to Koh Samui over the Songkran holidays due to increased demand. They're looking at 20 flights a day from Bangkok to Samui compared to the usual 6 to 8. Bangkok Airways has a monopoly on flights to the island. And Thai Lion Air says bookings for all routes are currently below 50%, but they expect that to increase to closer to 100% for the Songkran period, adding that Chiang Mai, Hat Yai and Phuket appear to be the favourite destinations for the airline at this stage. 25 Thai women tricked to work for an online casino in Cambodia have been rescued by police in Phnom Penh. Thai and Cambodian authorities joined forces to rescue the women after Thai immigration officers talked to the mother of one of the women. The rescue operation was initiated after one of the women asked for help on a Facebook page. She said she'd been tricked to find customers for online casinos after applying for a job on Facebook. The official said most online casino businesses were run by Chinese citizens. The women told police they knew the jobs were illegal but needed the money to provide for their families. The woman said the recruitment agency told her the job was in Sihanoukville in Cambodia and it would pay her 28,000 baht per month plus expenses of 7,500 baht with free accommodation. The women did quarantine in Cambodia for 7 days and were taken to work on March the 28th. They were forced to work 12 hours a day each for 6 days a week. Checking out the air conditions around the country, starting off in the capital where the conditions are generally moderate at the moment. As you move east, the air does seem to improve, getting into the green zones. Heading down south, the air conditions generally improve. Phuket definitely in the green zone. We can see a few fires in Krabi. Up in the northeast, things get decidedly worse. The conditions unhealthy for sensitive groups and in some cases unhealthy, measuring from the 100s up to 166. Up in the north, the air conditions are critical. It's definitely in the red and in some cases in the purple, which registers very unhealthy. And today, if you check the world cities, Chiang Mai is number 3 in the world for the worst air quality. Finally, checking the Gulf of Thailand central coast around the Hua Hin and Phetchaburi area, generally green. We can see a few fires out there in the west in Myanmar. Well, that's all the main stories from around Thailand today. No, this shirt is not an April Fool's joke, just short-circuiting the fact that many people will probably suggest that in the comments section. In the meantime, please do support the Thaiger. We really appreciate it and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.